जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तेरा वनचारी। यमुना तेरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा, प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद।
Hare Krishna. Jai Nitya Vishnu Vistupad Paramahamsa Privijakachasto Tata Satashi Shimad. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Savior of the World. Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Bhagavad Gita as it is Ki Jai. Sankirtan Yajna Ki Jai. Sunday Love Feast Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Nilamadava Ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitai Gor Purnima. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada. So we'll be reading the verses on the screen. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text 22. Parushak prakritisto hi bhunkte prakriti changunan karanam guna sangosya Sadasat yoni janmashu Parushak prakritisto hi Bhunkte prakriti jangunan Karanam guna sangosya Sadasat yoni janmashu Parushak prakritisto hi Bhunkte prakriti jangunan Karanam guna sangosya Sadasat yoni janmashu Purushak prakriti stohi Bhunkte prakriti jangunan Karanam guna sangosya Maybe one Mataji could chant. One Mataji. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 13, text 22. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. Keep in mind that the word bhunkte, enjoying, is often implying suffering as well as enjoying. Okay, let's do this together. Living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. This verse is very important for an understanding of how the living entities transmigrate from one body to another. It is explained in the second chapter that the living entity is transmigrating from one body to another just as one changes dress. This change of dress is due to his attachment to material nature, material existence. As long as he is captivated by this false manifestation, notice the word false. This is very Prabhupada's very careful when using this word. He will very often say the material world is not false, it's illusory or temporary. But here, false is given, false manifestation. He has to continue transmigrating from one body to another. Due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is put into such undesirable circumstances. Under the influence of material nature, the entity is born sometimes as a demigod, sometimes as a man, sometimes as a beast, as a bird, as a worm, as an aquatic, as a saintly man, as a bug. This is going on. And in all cases, the living entity thinks himself to be the master of his circumstances, yet he is under the influence of material nature. How he is put into such different bodies is explained here. It is due to association with the different modes of nature. One has to rise, therefore, above the three material modes and become situated in the transcendental position. That is called Krishna Consciousness. Unless one is situated in Krishna Consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another because he has material desires since time immemorial. But he has to change that conception. That change can be effected only by hearing from authoritative sources. The best example is here. Arjuna is hearing the science of God from Krishna. The living entity, if he submits to this hearing process, will lose his long cherished desire to dominate material nature. And gradually and proportionately, as he reduces his long desire to dominate, he comes to enjoy spiritual happiness. In a Vedic mantra, it is said that as he becomes learned in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he proportionately relishes his eternal blissful life. Living entity, translation again, in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, what I would attempt to accomplish in the short time we have is to say a few things about the purport and the text, and then take the implication of this, that the human form of life in particular is extremely special, extremely important, responsible, privileged and responsible. That's the direct implication of this verse and purport, as we'll soon find out. So first, a few things about the text. Twice, Srila Prabhupada warns us about the dire consequences of human being trying to lord it over material nature. That gets us in trouble. Srila Prabhupada, I think he was quoting Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur early on, even in the Happening album. That was a record album. Used to make records out of wax, and I bought that record, and it had Srila Prabhupada chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and also making a speech. And one part of the speech was, the more we try to lord it over the material energy or nature, the more we become entangled in her complexities. Her means Durga Devi. They used to be more Vedic. They used to call hurricanes, always had ladies' names. They never gave a hurricane a man's name. But the ladies thought that was, giving a bad name to ladies. So Now, sometimes men hurricanes, sometimes lady hurricanes. But actually, hurricanes are always ladies because they're all Adidaivika. They're coming from Durga. And Durga is in the language of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, is the regulatrix of the entire material cosmic manifestation. Of course, Govinda, of course, working under the will of Govinda, as Lord Brahma explains in Brahma Samhita. So, this is the whole idea, that we're all trying to lord it over material nature. Now, we may not be aware of it in our own case, but when we see, like animals, it's very obvious. You see a dog on the front porch, and the dog is convinced that he owns the whole house, and he's barking at you when you walk by, and you can see, or you see a rooster, very proudly marching, or a peacock, proud peacock, spreading its tail, or an eagle flying very high, going this way as he likes, looking for some prey. Everyone is trying to lord it over. Oh, we also see it in children. They play games and it's, I am the king. And that's there. I know when I was a kid, we had a club, and one boy was the king of the club. And he used to pay us in baseball cards. His name was Stuart. So in ourselves, we don't see it. But this tendency to lord it over, it's a natural tendency. Sometimes people say, well, enjoying, is natural. So it's natural, be a healthy animal, it's natural. But there's another nature, and we're not of the lower nature, we're of the higher nature. So we have to work with our conditioned nature, material nature, but we shouldn't identify with it. So the tendency to lord it over is actually natural, materially natural. Vishayan upasevate, strotrat chakshu sparshanam ta, rasanam granam evacha, distana manaschayam, vishayan upasevate. In chapter 15, Lord Krishna explains the process of transmigration, not just reincarnation, but transmigration, how we going from one species of life to another. In this verse, we get a hint of the next chapter, the modes of material nature. And we go from so many species of life. And this lording over tendency cannot be suppressed in the animal species, but in human species we can sort of slow down a little bit. It's very... there is a way of stopping that. There's in Kapila Shiksha, in Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhukta Bhokta Parityakta Drishta Desha Chanitya Sahan Neshvarasya Shubham Date Sve Mahimni Stitasya Cha. By discovering the faultiness of his desiring to lord it over the material nature, and by therefore giving it up, the living entity becomes independent of Maya, and stands in his own glory. Sve Mahimni Stitasya Cha. He stands in his own glory. So this verse and purport make it very clear that we should think twice before we just continue this exploiting mentality. That'll become apparent when we get to the next part of the presentation. So we all have that aham mameti, I am this body, everything in relationship with this body is mine. This is sort of, I won't say hardwired, but it's very much accompanying us, unfortunately, in this world. So desires have to be purified, and then the thinking, feeling, and willing, the mind should be controlled. If the desires are not purified, then the mind's function of thinking, then feeling, then willing will either cause us to commit sinful activity or, at best, fruitive activity. And even that doesn't work. because we have to continue to take more and more material bodies. Is this Gopal Prabhu? I didn't see you. I've been here so. Did you just come back from somewhere? You've been here? Why are you he's hiding away from me. He doesn't want. I'm becoming good friend with Gopal Prabhu. So we should be aware from this verse how it affords us a deeper understanding of Krishna's warning about sense gratification. We hear in Bhagavad Gita that Vishayendriya Samyogat Yatadagre Mritopanam Pariname Vishamida Taj Sukham Rajasam Smritam. That happiness in the mode of passion is text 38 of the 18th chapter. In the mode of passion, at the beginning it's just like nectar, but then it turns to poison. Now, when one hears that, one could, just take a conventional view of it. You have sex with someone you don't know, you end up with venereal disease. If you eat too much, you get a stomach ache. And I saw a movie back in 1963. And it's called The Taste of Honey. And a young girl is in England, and a boat comes in with sailors, and the sailors are notorious for having affairs with young girls in all different parts of the world. And he convinces her, she was so naive, he convinces her that, don't worry, I know all about this, we'll be very nice, nothing bad will happen. So they, in parentheses, in quotation marks, they make love, not so easy, right? And then, of course, she gets pregnant, and then the big ship goes sailing away, never see him again. And then her life becomes a total misery. Just for that taste of honey. So we can think of it in those terms. Also, there's in chapter 5, text 22, Yahim samsparshacha boga dukkha yone evate yantavanta kunteya nateshu ramate Buddha. That those who are wise, the Buddha, those who are intelligent, they don't take part of the sources of misery which are due to contact with the senses and the sense objects, just like happiness in the mode of passion. Because they realize that yantavanta, they realize all these pleasures have a beginning and an end. Therefore, the wise man does not delight in them. All right, makes sense. But it doesn't go as deep as this verse does. This verse warns us, and the purport as well, that by lording it over the material energy to try to contact the senses with their sense objects just condemns us to continue in the cycle of samsara. It's like Lord Rishabdev, he says that the parabhavastavara bodhichato yavanna jigyasita atmatattvam kriyasta idammano vai karmatmaka yena sharira bandha. How long do we have to stay in this material world, dying and taking birth and dying? Yesterday I was looking in over 2 weeks old, a newsletter from Alachua, and I was shocked. My housemate, my good friend, we becoming such close friends, he died. Kaliyafani Prabhu. Amazing devotee. I'm not saying he's amazing just because someone dies, all of a sudden he becomes amazing. No, he was amazing before he died. He was really and truly a polymath. He could do anything. He was expert in machinery and trees and gardening and running big machinery, in acting, in giving class. He was expert harmonium player. You're taught to think of anything. He was an expert. He was even physically strong, even though he was thin. And finished. Like that. So, of course, his destiny is glorious. There's no question. He performed so much wonderful devotional service. But for the rest of us, for most of the rest of us, some of you are also way up there, But for most of the rest of us, we have a lot of work to do. Because the desire to lord it over the material nature is still with us to a certain extent, and that means that we not only have bad reactions in this life, but it means we have to continue in samsara. So again, when it says enjoy, it means suffer also. The three modes of material nature: experience, enjoy, and suffer, are all implied with mukti. So let's go on to the next section of the next part of the presentation. I was in the airport about 8 months ago or so, and I used to, a few years ago, I still used to be a little attracted to the newsstands. There's so much news and magazines and curious, you know. But I would never buy anything like that. But this time I actually spent a few bucks, and I bought this Scientific American. Now you may not be able to see, but the cover says, "Humans, why we're unlike any other species on the planet." Okay, now I've been reading this, and it's interesting we also agree that we have a speciality compared to other species, so that much we agree on. But it's interesting, this is atheist, like on the staff. First of all, the editor-in-chief happens to be a lady. She's completely right in the materialism, atheistic paradigm. Richard Dawkins is one of the advisors, and most of you have heard of him. He's the most famous atheist in the world today, I think, and the author of Skeptic magazine. Is the publisher. I mean, there's all these real atheists on the staff. So it's interesting to compare their idea of, so let's just take a quick look at some of the things that they're saying. Is human consciousness special? Now, I read that article on page 48. What they mean by that is not what we mean by that. We mean human consciousness is special because again, Lord Rishabdev was asking that rhetorical question, how long do we have to stay in this material world? We'll tell you how long. He tells you how long. Yavan na jigyasita atma tattvam. So long as we don't inquire into atma tattva, Brahman, self-realization. Atato Brahma jigyasa. Now is the time to inquire. So that's when we don't take advantage, it's use it or lose it. If we don't take advantage of this human form of life and inquire into what I really am, like Sanatana Goswami, Ke Ami, then we lose it. We can lose even the human form of life. But when they say is human consciousness special, they're toying with the idea that, Aristotle thought, Descartes thought, I think it was St. Augustine thought, that the animal is just a machine. There was a guy by the name of Michelin Lametrie, a long time ago, and he wrote a book called L'Homme Machin, man machine. There's nothing but machine. Now we agree with the idea of machine, yantra rudani, but we're not the machine. The machine is the body. We're in the body, with the deha, dehantaram. So they're not sure. They say, we really don't understand. All the experts disagree. They admit they don't have a clue as to what consciousness is, even though they have so much technology, more and more and more. They're getting wild with technology to the point that they feel that they're really going to be understanding all the secrets that the great philosophers haven't been able to figure out. But they admit that they don't know if animals have consciousness or not. The cultural animal alone in the Milky Way, are we so special that there's no life except ourselves, not only in the solar system, but even the whole galaxy, the whole Milky Way? Are we the only intelligent beings in the whole Milky Way? The origins of morality, why we fight. And of course they give a completely Darwinian explanation for this. It just evolved. Even consciousness itself, it just somehow evolved. It just, it just came from, life comes from matter, they think. How we hasten evolution, the role of language, the rise of the human mind, and all this. Are we wired differently? So obviously, my analysis of all their reasons is that they're just explaining more and more and more how we're a royal addition of the animal. That's all. They're explaining different reasons why our eating, sleeping, mating, and defending is more sophisticated than the animals. And they're right. It is more sophisticated, but it's still, what does they say? The same doll in different container. It's still the same activity, the same taste. Let's hear what the editor-in-chief has to say. From the editor. She says a lot. She kind of goes through a whole summary of the whole thing. The whole issue is devoted to this question. So I don't think I'm too guilty for having spent $8 to buy it. It says here, it says, what's to come? Perhaps only we can imagine where the complex changes we've set in motion may lead. And if we don't like what we envision, only we have the knowledge and the power to refashion the world for a more hopeful future. That's an awful lot of responsibility for a physically weak, though cognitively powerful biped, but we'll have to shoulder it. So, again, we can say there's a certain parallel. We say human life is very responsible. They say human life is very responsible. They say human life is very responsible so we could refashion the world, so the world, we'll make the world better. We could manipulate the world, more lording it over, the material energy, with our very sophisticated technology and big brain. But we say human life is responsible because this is the life that triggers the whole cycle of birth and death. Srila Prabhupada is describing, very different from Darwin. Why are there 8,400,000 species of life? Just by chance? No, because there's 8,400,000 desires, different styles. Of course you can say, oh, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, but every species has its own style, isn't it? The squirrel, he likes to get and put it in the bank, put it in the ground. And then so, don't be too like Uncle Scrooge or something like that. You may be a squirrel, the next thing you hide the acorn. Every species has its own style, so that's why there are different species. So responsible in this human form of life. Traditionally, like Lord Rishabdev, he's teaching his son, Nayam deha deha nidam bacham nirloke kastan kaman ardhati vidbujam ye tapo divyam putraka yena sadvam sudyet yasmad brahma shokyam and fanantam. He's what a contrast. The verse includes, don't waste your human form of life working kastan, working very hard, ardhati, trying to accomplish what the dogs and hogs also can get. And the animals that eat stool, but they also get the sense gratification. So don't work for that. That's you found everywhere. Rather, try for tapo divyam, transcendental austerity, which allows one to attain Brahma Shokyam Fanantam. Brahma Shokya, it means transcendental happiness, which continues forever. It's like in Bhagavad Gita, it's described, Pratyaksha Bhagamam Dhamyam, Shushukam Kartam Avyayam. Its happiness, it goes on forever in devotional service. Because of course it goes on forever, because one is attaining the platform of Brahman. He's understanding his eternal nature. Jivedas Vrupoi Krishnena Nityadas. So the verse by Lord Rishabdev is so amazing, because on the one hand it gives you the contrast of trying to engage in the same activities as the animals, and on the other hand it's showing such a sublime alternative to that. And so this is why human life is so special. You can choose. It's described that the Lord, in terms of creation, He I'll just read the English. He says, Sri Antariksha said, this is 11.3.3, Srimad Bhagavatam, O mighty armed king, by activating the material elements, the primeval soul of all creation has sent forth all living beings in higher and lower species, so that these conditioned souls can cultivate either sense gratification or ultimate liberation according to their desires. That's Sva Matra Atma. See the Matra Prashidaya or Atma Prashidaya. Either sense gratification facilitated, or if you want, self-realization. So there's a warning also. We have warnings, like what happens if we don't do it. We don't try to stop this default mode of lording it over to try to enjoy sense gratification and stay in this material world. There's a story in the 11th canto that the doors of liberation are open wide to one who has achieved the human life. But if a human being simply devotes himself to family life, like the foolish bird in this story, then he is considered to be tam aruda chutam vidu. He climbed to a high place only to trip and fall down. I love to tell stories about when I was a kid. So we had a game called Chutes and Ladders, where you go on this game board and you get to if you hit a certain point, then you can have a ladder and you suddenly graduate to the next. You can win the game. But if you get to another space, then you get a chute, and then you go, then you end up where you become the loser. Very hard to win if you fall down the chute. There was an existential novel, I think, by Camus called La Chute, the chute, You can fall down like that. So we get to the human form of life, we've gotten to the top of the pyramid of all these species. Okay, demigods, they're also a type of human, but basically human beings on this planet. It's a very special opportunity. Not too much, well, not in all cases, but usually not too much suffering that we can't sit here calmly and try to think about what I am and what I'm doing in life and how I deal with death, which can come at any time, as I was reminded yesterday when I read that news. And not too much enjoyment. It's like, even if you're rich, but it just doesn't work so well, especially in Kali Yuga. So there's kind of a balance that you can think you have a little in-between space to think about. There's even a verse in the Bhagavatam that says that one who's not too disgusted or attached to material life, you can't be too disgusted and you can't be too attached, then he, by practicing bhakti yoga, his faith and hearing about Krishna rises, and he can go back to God, basically. So there's a warning that we come up to this place, and if we don't use it properly, then it's a chute, and you go down very quickly. There's also in Bhagavad Gita, there's another warning in the verse Mogasa Moga Karmanu. In chapter 9, text 12, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes from Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. How does that go? Etad Yova etad garga avidit ashma lokat praiti sakripana. It's the description of the kripana. Kripana is miser. Why miser? Because you have something so valuable, this human form of life, and you don't spend it. you're using it for what you know, like small change. What you use the animal bodies for, you're using this body. It's like if you have a supercomputer and you use it to add up how much it cost when you went shopping or something, you know. You use it to make a list, a to-do list, and you put it in a supercomputer. I mean, come on. It's a waste. Now you have this machine, this supercomputer. Mine isn't so super, but you misuse it for what you could have accomplished in an animal body. Just a royal edition. Here it is, in Scientific American. You know, just scientific sense gratification. Then that's miser, because you had it, use it or lose it. So you had it, you didn't use it, so then you lose it, and then you have another, you know, squirrel or jumping around. So it's a very, very momentous occasion, having this human form of life. So it's described in that verse that one who doesn't solve the one is called a kripana, or miserly man, who does not solve the problems of life as a human being. Now, you're not going to solve those problems of life in animal form. The problems of life are already solved for you. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. It's all built in. Animals very rarely die of hunger. Krishna provides for the ant and for the elephant and everything in between. But the real problems of life, birth, death, disease, and old age, that you can't solve until you get to the human form of life. So one who does not solve, he's called a miserly man if he doesn't solve the problems of life as a human being, and thus quits his body like the cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. It's a warning. It's a real warning. You have to be so careful. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also makes the same point. I mean, this is a fundamental point. This is so, in one sense, unique in the Krishna conscious movement, that this basic fundamental point is constantly, focused upon, is constantly taught, and hopefully constantly practiced. What does Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how does he put it? Arunadaya Kirtan. When the rising sun appeared in the east, the jewel of the twice-born, Lord Gaurasundar, awakened, and taking his devotees with him, he went all over the countryside, towns and villages, and proclaimed in time. Lord Gauranga's shimmering golden features danced, and his footbells jingled. All the devotees chanted the names Mukunda, Madhava, Yadava, and Hari, their mouths being filled with the vibrations. They would announce to the still sleeping people, "You spend your nights uselessly sleeping and your days decorating your bodies. You have achieved such a rare human body, but you do not care for this gift. You remain not serving the darling of Yasoda and slowly fall through your last moments to death. With every rising and setting of the sun, a day passes and is lost. Then why do you remain idle and not serve the Lord of the heart? This temporary life is full of various miseries. Take shelter of the holy name as your only business, to penetrate the darkness of ignorance and bless everyone's heart. The holy name is risen like the shining sun. Drink the pure nectar of the holy name. There is nothing but the name to be had in the 14 worlds. It has filled the soul of Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur." It's a beautiful song. Udila aruna pura babage dvijamani gora amani jagi pakata samuha loiyatate kelam nagara brahaje tatte tatte bajoloko gana gana, etc., etc. I don't have time. It's a waltz rhythm song, very beautiful actually, not just because of the rhythm. So we want to stop this wandering. Brahmanda Brahmite, we've been wandering through was it last night, the night before, we had this program in Rice University. And we were talking about, I got an email, someone asked a question, you didn't mean literally that we've been, because I quoted that verse, Brahmanda Brahmite. I told them we're all extraterrestrials. We've all been traveling. We've all been into so many universes. These are new people at the program. She said, of course, she didn't mean it literally that we all traveled to different galaxies and all that. And I wrote back and I said, no, I meant it completely literally. But it's impossible to understand unless we know we're not these bodies. It's soul travel. It's not that with this body. And I gave the example how you can live in water if you have the body of a fish, and by the same token, you can live in a sun planet if you have body of fire. So in that way, living sarvagata, living entities everywhere. So this is a little hint of the science of the soul, and Brahman, because we are Brahman, aham brahmasmi. So that's it. Asato mad, what is it? Asato sadgamaha. I'm getting distracted. There's a whole riot going on here. And, you're just chanting the verse. Okay. Tamasi ma jyotirgamaha and mrityo ma amritam gamaha. You're all so Vedic that you know this verse inside and out. Maybe you learned it when you were little kids. So, don't remain in illusion. Go to the eternal reality. Don't remain in darkness. Go to the light. Don't keep accepting temporary material bodies. Become immortal. The Vedic wake-up call. And Bhagavad Gita expands on it and reminds us that the real solution is Krishna's mercy, Lord Chaitanya's mercy, Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Thank you for your kind attention. If anyone has a quick comment or question, Gopal Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your kind association.
You're welcome.
In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the hearing process is the antidote for getting out of the cycle of birth and death. Can you elaborate on that?
You want me to comment on it? The hearing process? Yeah, Prabhupada gives a solution also. I was talking with Keshava Bharati Goswami. Every day I speak with him. I'm so fortunate. And as many of you know, he's got this big turnout, and also online. So many. He's just hearing. He's just reading Prabhupada's translations and purports to Srimad Bhagavatam. They're in the 4th canto. And when we were having lunch, I told him that actually it's just so wonderful, because Srila Prabhupada said, of course, the deities are our great shelter. The deities own this place, that's for sure. But at the same time, the whole purpose of inspiring people with deities and temples, and the whole purpose of the whole Krishna Consciousness movement is just so people should come and hear about Krishna. And what better way to hear is just hearing Prabhupada's purports and translation and purports. And then after they speak, they hear for 1 hour, then they have inspiration, like what inspired you, what did you do you have any comments or something like that. So it's a wonderful, wonderful program. And he's been doing it for a long, long time, and it's very steady. And in addition to that, he's also recording more hearing and chanting. So we have a wonderful example right in our midst. He's completely absorbed in that program. Yes, that's Tat Shrinu. Krishna says, Tat Shrinu, just simply hear. Shrinu me bharatar shava, Shrinu me paramam vachaha. Over and over again throughout Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, here, listen up, oh, Arjuna, hear from me. Now I will tell you, Vakshami bharatar shava, O best of the Bharats. Now I will explain. Hear from me, over and over again. So, that's what this is all about. You know, it's not like God is so cruel that he didn't give us a way out of this dilemma of birth and death and old age and disease. It's not like we're just eternally damned. You know, and actually the most damning thing about it is our own tendency to lord it over the material nature. So it's like a high security prison. There's one website, I don't like it so much anymore, it's called Prison Planet. So it's like that. The whole planet, the whole universe, the material cosmic matter, it's called Durga. It's like a fort, very difficult to get out of. So, but it's not that God just locked us up in here and just went away, like the deists would have claimed. No. Remember deism, pantheism, panentheism, we were talking in the car. It was a Vasikendrapur. No, he comes himself, he sends him, he incarnates in the form of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ooh, at least for this 1 second, we're all liberated. Now, if we can just stay liberated, that's called sadhana, just to stay liberated. So yeah, it's all about hearing. Even when you hear about the 9 processes of devotional service, we also hear that they all have to be accompanied by hearing. You know, in one sense, you do any one of them, you can achieve perfection. But at least for us, and maybe always, they always had to have that Shravana. And of course, without Kirtanam, there can't be Shravanam. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. And we become more advanced, Smaranam. Okay. Anybody else? Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, it looks like there's no other questions. All right, thank you so much for your kind attention. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Super Sunday Feast program. And since you are here, so that shows your love and affection towards Krishna and Srimati Radharani. So congratulations. So today we have one sponsoring family, Raghav and Vijay Srinivasan, and they are celebrating Raghav Prabhu's. They are celebrating Raghav Prabhu's birthday and seeking blessings of Lordship and Vaishnavas. If you would like to sponsor Sunday Feast, Super Sunday Feast, then come and see me. It's $451. You can see me after the announcements. Are there any newcomers to our temple? You're coming for the first time? Okay. Anybody else? So we welcome you all to Iskcon of Houston. This is our Sunday Feast. We do it every Sunday starting at 5:30. Once you go out, you will see Ranu Gupta Mataji. She is right here standing in the red shirt or kurta, so you can see her. The Sunday Feast cooking is done by Madhavi Bhore Mataji, Archana Re Mataji, Kalasudha Mataji and Advaita Chandra Prabhu. Couple of housekeeping announcements. The front foyer, once you enter the temple, there are stairs and there is the shoe racks. So it's wet. So once you go out or come in, make sure you don't run because you may slip and hurt yourself. Also, there is a temple parking lot which is right behind the Gauranga Hall. Do not use the Govinda's parking lot. That is strictly for Govinda's customers. If you have any children 12 and under, please have them under your supervision or some guardian's supervision. That's a law. Our next major festival is Gor Purnima, which is on Wednesday, March 20th. So we will have a program on Wednesday, March 20th evening, starting at 7 p.m. And then we will have a cultural celebration on Sunday, March 24th as well, starting at 5:30. Our annual Japa retreat for this year is going to be Friday, March 8th through Sunday, March 10th. And we have some very special guests coming, His Holiness Ramapad Swami, and we have Badahari Prabhu, and we have our own Shyam Sundar Prabhu, Radha Krishna Prabhu, and Guru Bhakti Mataji. So if you had like to register, the early bird has ended, so now the entry fee is $65 per person. Kids under 5, they enter free. Anybody above 5 and above, they pay $65. And you can see Radha Vallabh Prabhu, he will be in Gauranga Hall, he can sign you up. So I'm going to go down the list of programs and events in February. And at the end, Rasikendra Prabhu is going to talk about the next upcoming festival, that's Sri Advaita Acharya's appearance day. So on this Saturday, the next Saturday we have, which is February 9th at 4:30 a.m. we have monthly Mangala Arati. Monday, February 11th at 7 p.m. we have Sri Advaita Acharya's appearance day. Thursday, February 14th at 7 p.m. we have His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj visiting us. So we will have Krishna Katha, Kirtan and Prasadam. And then the next day, Friday, February 15th, Maharaj will give Srimad Bhagavatam class. Sunday, February 17th is Nityananda Triyodashi, or the appearance of Sri Nityananda Balaram. The program starts at 5:30, the regular Sunday feast. And on Saturday, February 23rd at 11:30 a.m. we have appearance of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. So these are the events for February. So at this point I will request Rasikendra Prabhu to come and speak on Advaita Acharya's appearance day.
Hare Krishna. So February 11th, which is a Monday, is the appearance of Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya is a very intimate associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When you're going to take darshan of the deities, you can see in the picture, the leftmost personality, the most elderly personality there is Sri Advaita Acharya. Because of him, actually Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this mortal world. If not, Lord Chaitanya has no business coming here. Because Advaita Acharya felt so much pain in his heart for the suffering living entities, even though he himself is an incarnation of Mahavishnu, he thought that I cannot deliver all these people. Only if Krishna personally comes here, he could deliver. So he actually worshipped the Shaligram with Tulsi and Ganga water, and he cried for the appearance of Mahaprabhu. And when Mahaprabhu saw this, because he is such a dear devotee, Krishna is called Ukti Tantra. Do you know what it means? Ukti Tantra means Krishna is subservient to his devotees. So when Advaita Acharya pleaded for his descent, Mahaprabhu said, well, Advaita Acharya has asked me to come, therefore I have to come. So because of his calls, because of his such deep compassion for all of us, Mahaprabhu came. So we will be observing his appearance day on Monday. We're starting at 6:30. There's going to be bhajans, and then arati at 7. Then there's going to be class. There's going to be potentially some special program as part of it. It's not confirmed yet. and we're going to be talking about Advaita Acharya, just like Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya, and Acharya means one who comes from the spiritual world here to teach us how to become devotees. So Advaita Acharya did the very same thing, and by his calls, Mahaprabhu came, and all the living entity who took to the path became relieved of their suffering and got love for Krishna. So I strongly recommend you all attend this, February 11, 7 p.m. You all be greatly benefited. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
And we have His Grace Shamsundar Prabhu. He will lead the Kirtan. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.